Good afternoon, Scott with T3 Live. Welcome to today's recap. So, pretty interesting day. I guess you could have had two-way trades across the board if you played each end of the range, which definitely wasn't easy. We came in today, the futures were up about 12 to 15 handles after the worst day of the year last year. And then, I know for me, I was a little frustrated to start because I didn't put on positions into the close at levels that I thought could be great intraday trades, but they closed them there on the lows. So I was like, you know what, closed on the lows. There's still some unknowns out there. We're oversold, not extreme. I'm just going to come in flat. So, when the futures are up 12, 15 handles, most guys, including myself, were like, you know what, you probably can't fade this because it's up 12 to 15 handles. If it was up 4 or 5 and looked really weak, I feel like everyone would have been just shorting the open. But because, it was up 12, 15 handles, the first 10-minute move lower, I think guys are trying to buy for some kind of follow-through, which didn't happen. And then into midday, they were trying to sell the S&Ps all midday. I think they were trying to break the 200-day. But while they were doing that, no stocks really came down. The bios held in pretty strong. The Russell held in strong. Some high beta names looked fine. So, they pushed it by 5 cents below the low of yesterday and then popped back above it. So that's when I put on a few positions versus the lows and was able to sell some strength, but really there wasn't much follow through. And it's the end of the quarter. We still have Puerto Rico that people are talking about. You still want to figure out if yesterday's low is the low in China, and then you have Greece is now I think done until next week. So we want to see how Europe deals with it, and then we have earnings season. The earnings season is not supposed to be great, and we've seen already some companies come out that weren't great. So anyway, with all that said, I think the jury's still kind of out. Everyone's like, Red Dog, does this feel different? Has the complexion changed? Are we going to get that 10, 12, 14% correction that everyone wants? Because right now we just had the correction that we typically have had 7 to 15 times in the past 2 years. And at this point, I don't truly know, except for we're below the 8 and 21 day, we're below the 50 day, and the market's trying to hang on to the 200 day. At least the S&P the Dow is actually hovering at it. So anyway, you go to the chart of first let's go to the spiders. So, you could say this, okay? Spiders broke this spot right here. So some have been pointing to this as, a head and shoulders top. Okay, so here's your head and shoulders top. Here was the neckline break. This was when, I guess, I pretty much got stopped out of my longs. Okay, so you had your move down, came into the 200-day, held pretty big support going sideways, okay, and sometimes you see a retest back up. A lot of times in the past when we've had, this type of, session, okay, it opens up and squeezes and engulfs the entire day, and then, and then we see what happens next. So is this weaker than we've seen it after a break? A little bit, so it's worth noting. Did we get below this 205.33, okay, and make a huge move lower? No, they got it lower by 5 cents, okay. So the question is, remember when we were down here and, it played with this level 4 or 5 times. Here, played with the level 4 or 5 times. Here, you had your ascending channel that broke. So who knows how long we're going to stay here and almost like what's next. So if you take a snapshot of the spiders, okay, there it is. And you could still see a potential retest of this 208 area. So, first things first now, I guess, over the next session or so, do we build a bear flag down here for continuation, or do we take this out and continue to grind up with the jobs number, with more headlines, etc.? But all in all, we're still below this somewhat neckline, and people were pointing that this, you have like 213 to 205. That's 8 points. That would really bring you, all the way down to somewhere down to here. Okay, but who knows at this particular point? We'll see. Right now, one objective, like sometimes you have the measured move of the right shoulder, and that's what we had, and that's pretty much the measured move we've gotten, when these things form, because there's been no downside follow-through for, a heck of a long time. Every time we've seen these move lower, okay, not much has transpired. Let's take a look here. Okay, let's take even a bigger look. So every time we've gotten these, like remember when this trend broke to the downside, move, held. This broke to the downside. This was the first time we actually broke below the 200-day. and got everyone out and came back above it. So the question is, does this happen here? That would be interesting. I think it would be better if we get some kind of, V move down to here, which would be similar to this, potentially. Okay, that's what that is. And then look what happened after that. Knocked the teeth out of everybody. So maybe take a little snapshot of this longer term chart of the spiders there. Can that happen? But otherwise, this, let's go to the weekly. This weekly, let's see how the weekly trend looks. Let's get rid of these things here. Just trying to think ahead with you guys about the S&P a little bit. Okay, so if we look here, have we seen something change as far as the ascending channel on from the 2009 lows? Obviously, this is the trend there, not even close. From here, when that overthrow there. I guess if you draw it to there, it's boom. But if you draw the 21-day, which is something that we've held the entire time, we're kind of on the right side of it right now, right? Sort of. So I guess we'll see. I'm maybe making. Let's see. So this is your macro trend, which we're not even near. Here's a more intermediate trend without the overthrow, and then here would be a little bit of the active trend, which we're I guess poking our head near, or below. Look at that. Go like this. And so this was that other spot. So I would say now, if you look at this more on the weekly, okay, the longer we stay below here, and maybe stay on the right side of the trend and not regroup and not reclaim it, the higher the probability we could see a little bit lower prices. But I'm reaching right now. Well, I guess we're on the right side. On the right side there. Here we're on the right side for not even a month before reclaiming it, and then we haven't really been on the right side of that in a long time. So we'll see what's next. Okay. So going back to the daily chart of the spiders, and as far as today's action, let's go to the 5-minute real quick. So the stock, the market opened up. And remember, this morning I'm like, let's map out resistance 1, 2, and 3. Well, this came right into resistance 1. I think I put out there 207.50. Opened up, pulled right in, filled the gap, bounced up. Pretty much this was your little red dog reversal right here when you had your double bottom. And then this is pretty much, I think, when I got long, right in this spot, when it showed some commitment to the red dog reversal. I waited, sold some strength, and then look how hard this is. After coming all the way up here and probably stopping out every short, it didn't find the friend and came all the way into the close. Then popped up, and then there was a big sell balance at the end. I don't know what the futures are doing right now, but overall, if you shorted resistance 1, which last year was really hard to do, shorting resistance 1. Okay, you probably got squeezed into resistance 2. So this time you didn't want to do it because a lot of people said, I'm not going to get caught this time, and boom, you had your fade. And if you started buying on the way down thinking that some part of the gap would hold like I did right around here, you probably got stopped out into that, which is what I did. And then finally a clean trade, and that's that. So let me run just through a lot of stocks and things that this is what acted well. Okay, end of the quarter, so we'll see if it continues. The IBB acted well. Okay, the S&P at the 200-day, IBB at the held the 50-day, came back up. We'll see if there's more room for it to bounce towards this spot. Ultimately, very strong sector. IWM. Okay, we talked about it holding the trend line. Okay, which it did, and wasn't that strong of a bounce. Okay, actually, now look where it closed. So again, jury's out here. This isn't much of a bounce. Usually, you had a lot more, potency, up to the bounces after a big downdraft. So holding here isn't, the biggest bounce, and I guess this would be, your next resistance where it could get to before putting in a higher low or not. The diamonds. Diamonds did not really bounce. Okay, the diamonds are now below the 200-day for the second day. Okay, not much of an interest there. Okay, here it is, and it's very choppy. I can't even really draw the levels. It's below this spot, and not much you can hang your hat on there. The longer it stays below this, the higher the probability it can go lower, and then that should take some other things lower. Let's go through to some stocks. Apple, what'd you do? Not much, right? Apple basically, had your descending channel here, broke below it. I guess you could say, let's see if this is support, kind of held that, and it's still doing a whole lot of nothing with a lot of resistance right there at the moving averages. And it couldn't even at the end of the quarter get muster up anything. Netflix was a little bit better, but still, not anything to write home about except for if you positioned into it right where the prior breakout was, you were able to make a day-and-a-half trade. Now the question is, what happens here? Does it break above it or not? Not special, but something to do. Something more special was Tesla. Tesla ended the quarter, one of the few stocks that broke below the 8-day, but held the 21-day and came back up. All right, this is acting and trending well. MBLY, held yesterday, didn't really have much follow through today, but again, pretty impressive that it held the 21-day. It's definitely building a nice following. You had your nice little breakout here, and now a little bit of work in there, and I would think that we could get a move back to the highs of the overall stock. So, but it's going to have to I guess have a good quarter of earnings and start showing some earnings growth in order for that to take place. But this is something to get to know. It's been acting much better. It's a good snapshot right there. We talked about buying FEYE in the hole yesterday, and it basically held in pretty well. Some guys chose this to take home overnight, which makes a little sense. Held the prior breakout right there after its topping tail. You had a topping tail here, came in, boom. So next level could be right there. That'll be your resistance. You also had a move right there, which was a nice breakout move. So I'd say let me just set this up a little bit so I could post this chart for everybody. So here is your your chart of FEYE to take a snapshot of. Pretty good go-to stock this year. I just showed you, let's see, cyber, not as strong. This too is giving you lots of trades. Here is one to start, to start the year. And then you had another one right there. And then it held sideways and gave you the nice setup right there, but then couldn't hold that prior move right there. So now it's holding here, and we'll see if you get some kind of bounce. It's going to have some resistance right into here. So it's been good to watch. It's been good to trade, and it gets a little erratic, but overall, it's been something to go to at special times over the course of the year. So, I would take a snapshot of that and continue to trade it. FIT, what a nice move. Sperling was all over it. Went over on the virtual, what's it called? Actually, the morning call, and said, this is showing some growth. Had a nice move. Perhaps it could be a long above there with your higher low, and now we'll see, how long it takes to perhaps, take that out. You could even draw this just like this too. These are your different levels. Hold on, let me get my pen. And really nice move. Okay, and at this point, I would get to know it because this could give you a G Pro type trade or a SHAK type trade. These new issues that have some support behind it and get some shorts quickly because people bet against it. It's all about the supply and demand. You saw the quick 3 to 6 month move in G Pro. You saw the same thing in SHAK, and now here with FIT, you might as well get to know it because if you go back to the chart, if it does take out this area, you could see a nice move. Look, remember G Pro back in the day. Okay, hold on. Let's go to the weekly. Okay, remember the start of it. Nice little move. Here is your post IPO high. Once it broke above this, pow, before that reversal tail right there. That was a nice trend, nice move. Took about 4 months of really good trading. SHAK. Let's see if that was similar. Very similar. Took a little bit longer. Okay, boom. Trade above the IPO high, gave you a quick move. Then obviously, they don't last sometimes. You go more towards the daily, and you will see that it was a really nice trade here. I remember trading it here. This was a nice one too. And then there, okay, and I actually got short on this day, and I didn't hold. But anyway, things change. Above the 8-day, first pull in, still above the 8-day. This one broke below, got choppy, and then this was pretty much your game over at 75 in SHAK. with a leftover topping tail there, or doji. So, these new issues do provide you lots of opportunities when the momentum is jam-packed and the shorts are in there and it's above the 8-day, above the 21-day. But again, once it changes, you have to figure that out when it changes, and you have to leave quickly, when the momentum leaves. And then you could even flip short. And we've seen that so many different times in so many of these stocks, and then they try and rebuild and they try and continue to go. I would say JUNO is a disappointment for some bulls. You had the big gap up on news and traded all the way back down to the lows. So I'm not sure what to expect here. If you had a long overnight, some guys on the VTF did. Congratulations. Now I'm not too sure. Some guys are trading GILD. This was I guess a nice long here, and it gave you a good trend above the 8-day, and then it broke. At this point, I would see not great action here, but a little bit of a bounce. See what this does next is for just for direction of some of the bios. Not the greatest scenario right there. Goldman Sachs, not the most potent bounce. Okay, broke its trend pretty much right there, and then you could draw like a little sideways here. Got to see what happens in there. Kind of take this back and go to the upside, or will it build a bear flag? So at this point, not really a potent bounce, but still above the 50-day, above the 100-day, above all those moving averages. When you have Goldman, which is a component of the Dow, also, and the Dow is below the 200-day. So relative strength there for now. We'll see how that continues. You can maybe take a snapshot of that. Then you go to, let's see, just real quick, what the XLF do today. Not a heck of a lot. Red bar today, still below, this trend for now. This is when, kind of broke, still down here, but holding some support. So we'll see what happens on the right side of this channel. Maybe take a snapshot of that. And, that's really it. Were strong stocks strong for the end of the quarter today? Maybe. What was the real telltale of the market? Was it because the S&Ps were so weak? Was real money selling that and mutual fund managers propping up strong stocks to make themselves look good? Could be. So does that mean that the strong stocks get sold tomorrow? Or does new money come in and buy them? So I'm not sure what's going to win here. So I'm basically risk down again because it just makes sense for me, I think, at this point. I'm not really stressed out if I miss a rally or if I miss the decline. At this point, I'm just going to play it by ear. Real quickly, Facebook, I didn't get into that. Not a great day today, considering it could have bounced a few times, but closed right at the, the 8-day. So, it broke right there and could see a move to the 21-day. So we'll figure that out tomorrow. Twitter actually had a really nice move. Today, what I did is, because there's so many false attempts, I bought the July 10th 36s. So the VTF saw me buy this today. Because again, if there's no deal, chances are it's down 70 cents. So I don't want to deal with it. If there is a deal, I'll have some options and I won't overtrade it. I personally think that there could be an activist in here buying, because I've seen little spurts of volume. Look at the volume today. Actually wasn't great, but there was a little bit of volume today. You're getting a few volume spurts down here. This red dog reversal still was never violated. If if you happen to be in it from there, it looked like it was going to and didn't. Above this, if you're shorted, it gets squeezed. So it's worth having a little bit. Maybe, hold on, let's put this over here and take a small snapshot in 1 second, because this is where it broke, and this is where it broke more. And now here, perhaps there's a bit of a trade. So we'll see. I did buy some options just in case. So when I don't like the way something trades, but I think there's a potential something there that's a little, that I have a feeling that could happen, I'll go with options. Just because, you're a little twingle, your gut, you listen to it, but you don't put real money behind it. But I would be upset if something happened and I wasn't in it. So that's why I'm in it. I've been in Yelp for a month or two, hasn't done anything. I hate the way it trades, so that's why I said, you know what, if a deal does happen, I'd probably be upset that I'm not in it. So let me just have some calls long-term out there, which I do, for August. And then when you buy calls, you pretty much have to write them off as worthless, especially if you're playing for a deal. When you see me with the actual stock, it's a play, there's a setup. And, if you see me with options, typically, I think something might happen. I don't know when, and I don't want to overtrade it. Just a few ways for you to read my disclosures at the bottom of my note and at the bottom of the call. And that's about that. Hopefully you had a decent day. I think the jury's out on whether or not this market goes lower. Today it felt like the character was a little different, but they've done that before and it's been a trap. So if you went out balls to the wall short, good luck. And the same way if you did that from the long side, good luck. I think this is a spot, to have some quick feet, have your risk down as we try and get more clarity and, take some trades and figure out what's next. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.